party people. Well, welcome once again to the Party of One podcast, the actual play RPG podcast where the gaming table is always set for two. I'm your host as always, Jeff Stormer, and this week on the show, I am joined by my good friend, returning guest, Paulomi Pratap, for a game of Wild Lands. Wild Lands by Stephen Wood Games is an adorable RPG of fantasy critter adventures in the vein of Redwall or Mouse Guard or Narnia, where fantasy critters go on big adventures and fight monsters, and it's a ton of fun. It's very cute. The book is beautifully illustrated. I really can't recommend it enough. You can find more information about Wild Lands in the show notes. Paulomi, in addition to just being one of my favorite people in the entire whole world, is a cast member on a podcast called Skyjack's Courier's Call, which is an all-ages spin-off of the one-shot campaign Skyjack series set in the world of Spear, about the high-flying adventures of a group of teenage mail carriers. It is fun and adventurous and adorable, and also features all my fantasy children castmate, best friend, Aaron Catano Saez. Check that out. You can find more information about Skyjack's Courier's Call as well in the show notes. Cannot recommend it enough. Real quick, before we dive in, a special thank you to Joe White and Defunct Glasses. Thank you so much for your support on Patreon. Thank you for helping to produce the podcast that I make, the games I design, all of that good stuff. You can find more information about how to get early access to raw audio, early episodes, drafts of games that I'm working on, all that good stuff at patreon.com/JeffStormer. And speaking of games that I design, I wanted to throw out a quick reminder, as always, that if you donate to your local mutual aid fund, bail fund, or other charitable organizations supporting the Black Lives Matter protests, shoot me proof of your donation, and I will send you the official PDF of When You're Here, Your Family, aka the Olive Garden LARP, as well as some of my other games as a special thank you for donating to a worthy cause. Shoot proof of your donation to partyofonepodcast@gmail.com for more information. And with all that said, let's throw it over to me in the past so that he can get started with the show. Take it past me. Thanks, future me. This week, I am joined once again by my good friend, my wonderful friend, Paulomi Pratap. Paulomi, thank you so much for coming back on Party of One.
Hey, thanks for having me. So,
real quick, at the top of the show, why don't you take a moment and let the lovely listeners at home know about all the cool stuff that you've got going on that you want them to know about?
Totally. I've been working on a cool spin-off show from Skyjacks called Courier's Call. I've been on that with Allie and Aaron and Drew. All those kids are some cool kids, and you should give it a listen. We just funded season 1, I believe, so that'll be fun for the kids and also you.
I mean, it's wonderful, and it is a collection of people that I exclusively put among people that I look at and have like big wide-eyed, starry-eyed reactions. So like, I can't recommend it enough.
We recorded a couple of episodes recently, and it just keeps getting better. And I for first time in my life, I'm like, you know what? I'm okay not knowing everything about this world and this kid. I just want to see what happens to him.
It's great. That's one of my favorite feelings. Is like,
yeah,
it is not knowing everything and going into a story is one of my personal favorite things. Like, I am a chronic, don't prep until I absolutely have to, and don't start, like, laying things out until I absolutely need to, which is ironic because I've been running a world-building podcast for 5 years now.
Listen, you just add layers and never go back to the stuff that you referenced before. It's fine.
No, all we do is go back to the stuff that we referenced before. It's...
Oh, God. See, that's my big problem.
I'm very lucky. In that Aaron Catano Saez is a being of light, and will just be like, oh, by the way, you know, we said this 3 years ago, and I'm like, cool, that's a great...
I believe you.
Yeah.
That's trust. That's trust in a partner.
I just go, all right, I believe
all
you.
Right. Cool.
Oh, my goodness. Listen to all my fantasy children, kids. It's a wonderful show.
Do it. Best show. 10 out of 10.
But this week, for Party of One, which is also a wonderful show, if I may say so myself.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
We are playing Wild Lands. Wild Lands is adorable. It is a darling RPG about animal fantasy adventures along the lines of a Redwall or a Mouse Guard. It is adorable, beautifully illustrated animals going on fantasy adventures. I'm flipping through the art as I say these things just because I can. I have the book in front of me and I'm just like, God, it's very pretty.
The art is very pretty.
It's getting me jazzed up to play, I'll be honest.
I actually I discovered the artist just by scrolling through artist Twitter, which is a magical place. And it, I think it was the lineup of like the mice people, the squirrels, the moles, the voles, and all of that. And I was like, I'm just gonna send this guy a follow really quick. And then ever since, like all of the developments that have happened, I've been very excited about it. It's a very vivid world.
Yes.
I think
I am in love. So let's dive in. Why don't you introduce us to your
Yeah, so I'm going to be playing a badger called
Give me 1
Sunflower.
second. You just, like, your microphone just imploded or something?
Oh no, that sucks.
It's all good.
Wait, I think I know what happened. Give me a second.
Oh,
here.
it's all good. I just want to restate the let's dive in and introduce your character, because I, like, got halfway through it and then there was a scream.
I'm so
Oh,
sorry.
you're fine. I was like, introduce me. Huh?
Go for it.
Paulomi, are you dead?
I'm alive.
Okay.
Do not worry. I'm definitely not a ghost. I've never been a ghost.
All right, fair. I have to take your word for it, because if you're a ghost, you have to tell me. It's like being a cop.
It's exactly like being a cop. You're right.
All right, so let's stop talking about this game and dive right in. Why don't you introduce us to your character this week?
Yeah. So I'm going to be playing a golden furred badger called Sunflower. I believe the cornerstone for Sunflower was kicking indoors and being good at hammers.
Yes.
So
Those are the core of her character.
those are the core of her character, and I am very excited about playing an absolute brute. Let's do it.
All right. So you grew up. So Sunflower was a blacksmith in the town of Bramblewine. Bramblewine. Tell me. Let's start off by laying out some. Each of us picks a fact about the town of Bramblewine before it gets destroyed.
Excellent. I love it. I think Bramblewine is excellent at strawberry wine specifically. Its main export, its taverns, all of the people enjoy a good cold cup of strawberry wine at the end of the day after a long day's work.
Huge strawberry fields, like it is.
Yeah,
Like big, beautiful, juicy strawberry fields. It's what Bramblewine is kind of known for. Like, it's like a fairly small town. I think my detail is like it's a small town with huge fields, and it is known for. It is also against, like adjacent along like the edge of a mountain, right? Like it's flat. There's a mountain not far away where a lot of So the plot thing here is there's a lot of mining happening in that mountain, but the non-plot detail I want to throw out is just that, like, I think there is a tremendous bluegrass scene.
Ooh.
I think it is you get a jug of wine, you gather up 6 of your friends, you sip the wine, you listen to some banjo music, and that is life in Bramblewine.
I love it. I'm into it.
So, as I said, there in the last year before the event, the cataclysm, the breaking of the earth, industry kicked up in Bramblewine. You know, suddenly there were mine carts coming and going, and they either dug too deep or they dug where they shouldn't. Something happened. The details are vague. You've never been able to find an answer. But one day, the earth beneath your feet opened up. Cracks in the ground. From those cracks, like smoky kind of tar. Like it was sort of a translucent with like a deep gray like swirls inside of like a gel-like substance poured from the earth. And from that, like, misty shadow hands came from this and started grabbing people and pulling them into the earth.
Oh, so just a normal Tuesday.
Yeah, of course, normal Tuesday. Smoky, sort of semi-incorporeal spirits started grabbing people and dragging them away. It was a horrible cataclysm. And I want to ask you a few questions as we dive in. Who did you save while this was happening?
Ooh. I think there's sort of an older bunny individual. I think they kind of collect stories and they're kind of just the town old guy. Like I feel like there's a town old guy that everyone kind of respects, even though they're a little crotchety. And so I think this might be. We're just gonna go with a classic name. We're going with Old Man Withers.
Old Man Withers. I love it.
The strawberry farmer in his heyday, but kind of just settled in town. I think I managed to save him. Am I saving one person or several people?
Who did you lose? Who did you lose to the mist? Who was pulled into the earth?
Ooh. I think Sunflower might have been sweet on another badger artisan that got pulled into the mist.
Okay, yeah. You sort of watched them get pulled in. You were fast enough to save Withers, but not quite fast enough to save your sweetheart. But you also got away. You also escaped the town as it was being now, like, it is very literally, very pun intended, a ghost town. Like, the tattered, empty remains of buildings, people talk in whispered tones about, like, the ghost town of Bramblewine. What hidden strength did you find you could use against the Shadow Hands?
Ooh. I think, I picked up, I kind of footballed Old Man Withers under my arm, and picked up the most solid looking weapon I think I've made. It's just an iron hammer, and kind of charged through town to try and get out. And anything that came in our way, I threw the hammer or smashed the hammer through. And iron seemed to be pretty effective.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna make a note of that. Okay, yeah, so this all happens, right? There are ghostly spirits pulling people into the earth. You escape with Old Man Withers, who has, like, a water skin of wine tucked under his shoulder, because he's an old brewer now. And there's a moment after this. This was ages. How long ago do you think this was? Was this months? Was this, years, in whatever relative term of years our tiny little animal people...
I think a year ago today.
A year ago today. Okay, great. So there's one last moment before we kind of cut to the present, right? We cut to you marching on your long, lonesome journey, because there's a brief moment where you and Withers are sitting at a camp outside of town, safe, like a bittersweet moment. He kind of hands you a glass of wine, or like a small mug of strawberry wine, and just kind of and you look into the wine for a moment, and you hear him whisper as sort of cloudy shapes start to form in the wine. You hear him just kind of whisper something under his breath and then look at you, and his eyes seem to glow as he says, they're still alive out there. They're in there. They're frozen in the mist. And he starts whispering these things as you look in, and how he knows it. It's a little bit of magic, it's a little bit of age, but you kind of start to see in the wine itself, this old strawberry wine, this incredibly old vintage. You see flashes of your sweetheart. You see flashes of people simply not harmed, not suffering, but simply frozen in an eternal mist, right? Like floating amongst clouds, perfectly still, unmoving, unaging, simply frozen. What is your immediate reaction to this as you wander, and then we cut to a year later as you wander seeking a way to break this mist?
I think Sunflower stares after this old man and then looks into her wine, and kind of just sort of that tired, exhausted way, kind of straightens up a little bit. Looks like we're gonna have to find a way to unfreeze them then.
You say we, but I don't particularly see this as a group endeavor. My adventuring days are long behind me. But here's what I can do. And he hands you his wineskin. He's like, this is my oldest vintage. I've spent my life fermenting and experimenting and working on this vintage of wine. This is what I have left. It contains a lifetime of secrets and regrets and joys and sorrow. Drink of this, and you can access that. Which is to say, I am giving you a magical item.
Excellent.
I am giving you, you've drank most of this wine in your travels in the last year. But you have about maybe 3 strong drinks left. Which is to say, I am giving you 3 free play questions. At any point during the adventure, you may drink, ask me a question, I will answer it honestly, and then we will talk about the memory that it conjures. Whether that be a mundane memory, a supernatural memory, a memory of Old Man Wither's life as an adventurer, or his life as an old brewmaker.
I love it. I'm into it. I'm all about
3
it.
magical questions. This is what I've given you.
I love 3 magical questions.
I do too. So we cut to a year later, 1 year ago, 1 year to the day, as you crest a hill and see beneath you in a small little valley, in a small little clearing, surrounded by wood, the town of Sherbert. What strikes you as similar? What strikes you as similar in Sherbert to the town you left behind, to Bramblewine?
It's the same size, I think. Like, the same cluster of houses. The way the houses cluster together is the same. The way people kind of move between the streets, sort of the sleepy, almost slow pace. Nobody's rushing to go anywhere. It's a sleepy little hamlet like Bramblewine was.
And what reminds you of the days immediately before the shadow hand struck and the earth opened beneath you?
I think, in the distance from the town, you can see the mining operation that they've started of their own, and the sort of ominous clouds that collected in the sky before everything kind of went to hell. We're seeing them at the rim of the horizon.
I love that. So you wander into town. You are greeted warmly enough. I'm actually going to ask you for our first roll.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you for, and you can choose if you're going to add any skills to this or how you want to approach it, but I'm going to ask you for some sort of, let me look up the exact skill name so that I get it right. I'm going to ask you for a social roll.
Okay.
And I'm going to ask you for a social roll. If you get at least 1 success, you are welcomed warmly. If you get more than that, you can add extra details to the scene. Basically, this is an opportunity to go over how dice rolling works in Wildlands. You have a number of stats. You have 4 base stats: physicality, agility, intellect, and social. Each of those corresponds to a number of 6-sided dice. When you are rolling on a stat, you are going to roll that many 6-sided dice. Any dice that show a 5 or a 6 are considered success. If you have a skill you want to add to it, you'll roll an additional. You can add that many dice to it. You have a number of freeform skills, so you can add additional dice to your roll.
Gotcha. Well, I'm not gonna. I don't think I have any applicable skills, so I'm just gonna do a straight social roll.
Okay.
Let me try that again. I'm gonna just do a straight social roll.
Okay.
Not adding any skills, so I've got a 2 in social because I'm not the most sociable. And you said a 5 or a 6 marks a success?
Yes.
All right, let's roll. Hey, I got a 5 and a 6.
All right. So you are greeted warmly. There's actually a festival happening. Like it is hopping off in Sherbert right now. It is the small town is abuzz. There is a market festival happening. What's one thing that you see like in this very open air market festival? Everyone is bringing out their wares. I think one thing we see is like a crocodile, which is to say gigantic, right? Like on its hind legs, but like very large, probably like in terms of size, like a story or 2 tall, is just like grabbing big boxes of things from like a 2nd story window and is like planting them down as like 3 little mice grab blankets and fruits, and this giant crocodile is just grabbing things and is just like, whistling a little tune as he grabs big gigantic boxes.
Okay, visual I see out of the market. Let's see. I love the idea that they have like a specialty baked good, and I'm trying to think of what that might be.
Oh, is it sticky buns?
I think there might be like a sticky buns contest going on.
Oh, that's real good.
Like, who's got the best sticky buns in town?
I do love that. Yep. That's exactly what it is. I love it. There's a big sticky bun contest. They're getting really, like, interesting with it. Like, there's apricot sticky buns, and they're putting different, like, toppings on them. You found some chocolate sticky buns. Like, they're getting real wild with it.
Oh, yeah. They're getting buck wild with it. Like, and sticky buns, like, the way they are bunned is getting really exciting as well. Like, they're literally reaching new heights with these buns.
Mm-hmm. So, and I think the other detail that I want to throw in is, like, there's not much movement from the mines. Like, you see them, and you see those clouds over the mines, and give me I'm going to ask you for an intellect roll.
Ooh.
As you kind of look out on these clouds, and then I'm going to let you kind of explore the market for a little bit before things go wild.
Oh boy. Well, I'm rather smart, so I've got a 5 in intellect. I don't have any skills that will apply to this, so I'm just going to roll 5 straight. Alright, so I'm rolling pretty good here. I got 3 5s and a 6 and then a 4.
Okay. So you got 4 successes. Damn, you are rolling really good.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say 2 of those are to spot something noteworthy. And then I'm gonna say you can ask me 2 questions about the situation, the festival, about anything that you want. Like, these are very specific, like, observation questions. What you notice is those clouds are moving. You're watching them for a moment as you kind of watch the town, right? Like, like, Sunflower hasn't taken her eyes quite off of them.
Okay.
And you're seeing them start to swirl, and you're seeing them start to twist and intertwine, and kind of almost like bits of them are starting to lurch in the direction of the town itself.
I love this scene where, like, as she is approaching this town, kind of shouldering her pack, the clouds don't seem to be moving because it's that effect of while you're walking, you can't really tell relative to you if something is moving. But when she starts to stand in the crowd a little bit, observes the sticky bun contest going on, observes this alligator walking by, this just absolute unit of a creature. She kind of glances over the roofs and sees those clouds doing their ominous thing.
Mm-hmm. And so ask me 2 questions about the situation.
Do I remember what happens immediately after the clouds start twisting and churning?
You remember seeing them on the day. You remember a year ago today seeing those clouds, but the thing was, at the time, you weren't paying attention. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, but you remember, like, as the shadow hands were descending, as the earth was cracking and crumbling, as things were lurching out from beneath the earth, you remember looking up and seeing the clouds themselves kind of dancing. And you remember, rivulets? You remember strands of cloud, like, scooping people up in the same way and carrying them towards, like, the mountain and pulling them into the earth. Like, you remember seeing that as part of the onslaught of the cataclysm.
That's scary. And then these questions can be about anything. It could be about those clouds. It could be about the festival. Yeah. Okay. Is there... I'm trying to think of how to phrase this. I imagine since it's a festival, a lot of people from outside of this particular town might be coming in.
Yes.
To celebrate alongside the rest of the town. Is there strawberry wine from Bramblewine for sale somewhere?
You look around and you turn a corner. There is not just strawberry wine. There is, like, for a brief moment, you lock eyes with Old Man Withers, who is sitting and, like, is handing out wine to people. And, like, he's, crotchety, right? Like, he's got kind of that old crotchety rabbit face, but, like, he kind of looks at you and it's very stoic and serious, and you have this moment of, like, it's that shot in the anime where, like, you both freeze and, like, things are happening around you. And, like, you both lock eyes, and then he kind of, like, smiles again and exudes kind of grandfatherly warmth as he's, like, handing out samples and is giving kids little bits of jam on crackers and is like, we brought this a long way, everybody enjoy it.
I think wherever, if he's set up in a stall or if he's, like, set up in an actual, like, brick and mortar store, I think I'm going to belly up to whatever counter he might have and, like, offer coin for whatever he's got on sale.
He waves your coin away and he says, for you, for an old friend, this I owe you more than, and he gives you, like, a small glass of wine, more than a glass of wine. Sunflower, you know I will never accept your money. Get it away from me. And he looks, like, mildly insulted that you brought out some berry and some nut to, like, hand to him.
I think I shrug. I pocket my currency, and I think I make a grateful gesture. You know, just raising. I imagine this, like, very Acorn-esque cup for some reason. So I kind of raise this wooden style cup, and thank you. I've been thirsty, and I'll sip.
You've been walking a long way. I hope that you've found something valuable in your travels.
I think the travels themselves have been fruitful, and she, like, smiles wryly.
He rolls his eyes. And he makes no secret of him rolling his eyes, like, at you.
I think she sips in silence for a little while, very stoic badger. And kind of, I think kids kind of come up to the counter. They chatter while he's giving them crackers with the strawberry and probably some clotted cream or something, and they run off. And whenever it's kind of, like, quiet around us for a little while, I don't really look at him, but I say, I'm sure you've noticed the clouds.
Storm's rolling in. That's what they do. And he kind of, like, turns away from you, but, like, in a way to clearly kind of, like, indicate that he has heard you and acknowledged you, but, like, is not speaking directly about it.
Okay. I think she might ask, like, how long have they been mining around the town?
A few months, and he, you know, do you remember, Beauregard Horsefeather?
Sure, I do.
Beauregard Horsefeather was the head of the mining operation. Didn't actually live in Bramblewyne. Was, like, sort of franchising out mining establishments. Think,
dang it, Horsefeather.
Picture a vole in like a political cartoon robber baron outfit from the 1910s.
With the, like, oil black vest brass buttons.
Oh, yeah. Like, big red, like, specifically, like, an orangey red coat. You know, like, the Six Doctors kind of rainbowy coat? Like that, with a top hat. Some real, like, the Black Parade shit.
Wow. Amazing.
Organized a lot of, you know, was the one that kind of, like, kickstarted mining, that, like, your town was fruitful and booming for months until it cracked. And, Horsefeather mining operations popped up here a few months ago, and, well, people have been disappearing.
I think, Sunflower kind of heaves a heavy sigh. Horsefeather never learns, huh?
People chasing after money never do. Chasing after grain never learn. And as he kind of says that, you hear, like, a commotion, and you hear, you know, coughing and stumbling as you see, like, a brown and white hair stumble, tattered clothing, tattered, like, workers' gear, like overalls, stumble into the middle of the street and, like, fall and collapse. Inky, milky white smoke is kind of, like, billowing off of him. he seems fine, but there's just like smoke echoing, like the remnants of smoke are echoing off of him.
What are the people? I imagine there's like a couple people gathered.
Oh,
what are they doing?
The crowd immediately like picks him up, and people are asking if he's okay. Like they're very caring to him, but
Gotcha.
like there's obvious confusion of like what has happened here.
Do I remember if this is a thing where, like, even coming close to the smoke means you could get grabbed, or?
You remember a lot of the smoke was just smoke. It was a little bit hard to, you would like you remember seeing people like this, right? You remember seeing people where there was like smoke kind of billowing off of them, where unless they were if they were grabbed and they got away, you would see remnants of that smoke, of that mist kind of like fading off of them.
Gotcha. I think what I'm gonna do is kind of muscle in around the crowd, through the crowd, and kind of lean down next to this guy and ask, very stoically, almost kind of gruffly, where were you?
I think that's going to be a social roll with Intimidate. To get through this crowd that is trying to take care of someone, as some big giant badger from outside of town is now shoving her way through the crowd. I think this is an Intimidate roll.
That makes sense. Well, I've got +1 to Intimidate. Question real
Yes.
quick. Do you have me as +2 to hammers? Because I have 2 tally marks or an 11 here.
+2 to hammers. You do not have +11.
Okay.
I'm not going to ask you to roll 18 dice.
Okay, great. I have 18. I just wanted to make sure. All right, so with my social plus my Intimidate, I'm rolling 3 die?
Yes.
Or am I rolling 2 die?
You're rolling 3 die.
All right. Well, my luck ran out because I've got a 1, a 2, and a 3.
Okay, so I think what happens is, like, you get close, and you just hear him kind of whisper, like, I was below town, and, like, people kind of, like, push you away, and they're like, who exactly are you? Who are you to be harassing, hold on.
Generate that name.
I gotta generate a name real quick. Who are you to be harassing Nakier like this? You see he's got a little knock in his ear.
Oh. I think I pause my wrestling through the crowd. I have seen this before. Like, whoever's listening, I will address that. I've seen this before. I've experienced what this man has experienced, and it is going to get worse if I'm not given access to where he has been.
And I think they continue to push you away. Like, I think they want you, they do not believe you, and they want nothing to do with you. But like, the Nakier kind of steps up and is like, hold on. Like, kind of pushes past everyone to be like, I haven't even told you what I've seen yet. Why don't you tell me what you've seen? And he's like, kind of still like stumbling and like barely standing, but he's like, just so I know before I say what I'm about to say.
I imagine it's something like black claws reaching up out of the ground and grabbing your friends and pulling them away.
And he stops for a second and like, he kind of laughs and he's like, I'm gonna go talk to my new friend in private. Everyone stay as far away from the smithy as you can. That building is off limits now. And he kind of starts to limp with you and walk, and you have some time to chat with Nakier as he kind of walks you towards the smithy, and it's like, we were pulling coal out. We have service tunnels underneath the town. It goes to the smithy, it goes to a few of the mead hall, it goes to a few of the places that people need coal quickly, and we've been mining coal deeper and deeper, and we've been doing great. We've been selling it to neighboring villages. You remember Bramblewine sold a ton of coal.
I lived in Bramblewine.
Oh, that was Jeff to Paulomi.
Oh, hey.
I mean, you did.
I remember Bramblewine. There was a lot of coal everywhere, all the time, forever. Listen.
And we
live on coal.
And he's walking, and he's like, and suddenly the coal itself, I mean, suddenly I was in the tunnel and ooze started dripping all around me, and there was mist and hands, and it tried to grab me, and I barely got away, and I can't go back down there. But there's something that's down there.
I think kind of as we're walking away from that more public area towards the smithy, Sunflower will like support Nakir as he's limping and kind of listen and nod. I think I'm getting the impression, I think she's the kind of person that listens and then speaks, does not do the Paulomi thing of like, oh, I have a response to that and also that. So I think she kind of listens very patiently. And whenever they make it to the smithy, I think she finds a place to set Nakir down so that he can sit. And she sits across from him as he continues explaining and finally kind of takes her hammer out of a holster I think she has at her hip. And does the like, I feel like Bob the Builder does this sometimes where he just like takes his hammer out and he's just like handling it,
Sure.
but he's not like using it in a threatening way necessarily.
Sure. It's an object to interact with. Yeah, you gotta do something.
Yeah,
what do you do with your hands
exactly.
otherwise?
What do I do with these? So I think, yeah, as sort of a social tick, she handles that, and she's like, I can give you a little bit of information. Iron seems to work, and she kind of holds up her hammer. And I am happy to go down into the smith in your stead, and happy to go down into the smithy in your stead and deal with it if I have your permission.
And he kind of squints and he's like, yes, of course you have my permission. What? Yes, of course. And he pauses for a second and he kind of like puts a hand to his forehead and he's like, oh, okay. Yes. Please go through the smithy as quickly as possible. I have to go. And he kind of starts to get up and he kind of winces a little bit and he's like, I have to go talk to people. He's like, I need. And he kind of is like, so the service door, the service tunnel to the basement, the smithy, I mean, there's fire. Like, it's a smithy. We can't use wood for the door. It's an iron door. Everywhere else in town, the meat hall, the restaurants, like everything else is a wooden old service door. I have to go talk to people.
The man, or I think she's gonna like make a suggestion of, you may want to talk to Old Man Withers first. He might be able to help you spread word faster.
And he's like, I will do this. I will talk to this old man. I will listen. I will try. I can't make any promises, but I will. And he kind of starts to like limp off as you are left alone in the smithy and you are staring at this iron door and you start to hear like slight scratches and thumps against it. And what do you do?
I think Sunflower takes a moment to... I'm imagining sort of a open air smith shop, like maybe half walls and then, open sort of stall windows. They're not really covered by glass or anything.
And there's somewhere between a storm cellar door and like a sewer hatch, like somewhere like that's going to lead to the tunnels below.
Yeah, so I think, like the forge is very quiet, and I think Sunflower takes in her surroundings for a moment, kind of grounds herself, takes in the sounds. There's like gathered people a couple streets over, and takes all of these sensory experiences in, and then opens her eyes and just hauls this coal chute door open, and then just walks into it.
I'm going to ask you for a physical roll here. I'm going to give you your kicking indoors bonus. Because I think what I want right now is you open the door and like immediately like shadow hands and oozes upon you. And I think rather than have this be straight up a combat, which we'll get to in a moment, I just want one good roll as you like burst in, since you have the advantage of just like tearing through some of this stuff.
Yeah.
To find out what is waiting behind this wave of mist.
Got a pretty decent physical score. And I'm adding +2?
+1. +1 because...
+1. Yeah. All right. Here I go. All right. So I've got a 6 and a 5, and then the rest is a wash.
All right. So you exactly like tear through the initial shadow hands. You tear through them, you are swinging your hammer, the iron of the wall and doors, they touch it and they light up and they burn as you just pull through all of these things. And you are confronted with, it is a blob, a gigantic blob of this, milky grayish white ooze with, the swirls and the smoke things inside of it.
Ooh.
And, it is just, clinging to walls, and it is, lurching towards you, and, grabbing at, you see it kind of grabbing at little tiny insects and things, as it just, grabs them and pulls them into nothingness.
Just consumes them.
Just consumes them.
I don't think I hesitate. I think I take a moment to take this entity in, and then I just charge it.
Okay. So at the start of combat, I'm going to say you get the drop on your enemy because I'm going to say you get the drop on the enemy because you're rushing it and because you did well on your roll. I'm going to say that, this thing was counting on that smoke and those hands, grabbing anything, it was not counting on being rushed, so I'm going to give you the first turn. So how combat works in Wildlands is you get to decide what actions you want to take, make your attack rolls or ability checks, and then I will respond with the enemies. That's pretty straightforward and pretty simple. So you get to decide what your first action is.
I think my first action is just all out attack mode. So I'm actually, I think my maul has the ability to do a sunder attack.
Okay, yeah.
So I think I'm going to use that sunder attack to make some stuff happen. Start cracking figurative skulls.
All right, let me see what that does. Yes, it does. So roll your attack.
Okay. Is that the same as my skill rolls?
Okay, so you're going to make an attack roll. So how attack rolls work in Wildlands is you are going to roll a number of dice tied to your weapon. For your maul, that is 1 dice. But because you are very good at hammers, because you have taken the hammers skill, you can add that skill to your roll, taking you up to 3 dice. You want, again, same deal, you want 5 and 6s. Anything you do that hits that, any success deals the amount of damage on your weapon. So for your maul, that is 20 damage.
All right. That's a nice hefty amount of damage. So I'm rolling this 3 die. Ooh, so 5 and a 6. Is that 40 damage?
That's 40 damage.
Hot dog.
You obliterate this thing. Nice. You tear through it. You tear through it. Actually, what happens is a little tiny kind of black pulsating blue crystal kind of starts to form in the middle of it as it kind of I think it starts to grab at your hammer. It touches that iron edge of the maul and blue lightning pulsates through it. And describe to me how you just destroy this unnatural entity.
So I think this is sort of described in the play material as swinging the attack sunder is described as the wielder swings their maul in a deadly arc, and it damages enemies kind of far away from you. So I think she winds up and does this sort of horizontal swipe forward, and it connects with the blue crystal that's formulating in this ooze, and just shatters it into a blundy pieces.
And as you do that, the ooze, like, as you do that, the crystal pieces scatter everywhere, and the ooze, like, dissipates into that kind of soft white smoke that was billowing off of Nakier. Like, it is reduced to nothingness. And
Nice.
you kind of, you stare down this tunnel, and you what you see down this tunnel, you kind of feel like it's sloping downward, like it's sloping into, kind of twisting a little bit into the mine proper. And it is, and what you feel kind of at your feet, you kind of feel like it's not quite mud, it's not quite mud, it's not quite wet, it's sort of slimy at your feet, and then you kind of see those blue lightning bolts way off in the distance, just kind of crackling a little bit. There's something else down there. There's something deeper in these tunnels.
Is the crystal new for me?
You did not see any of those crystals. You merely saw the smoke and shadow hands that you tore through. Seeing this sort of ooze was new to you.
I think there's this moment, like almost a close-up shot of Sunflower's face, where she sets her jaw and she does the anime version of just being super determined. Her like brow kind of falls down a little. And she grips her hammer, her maul, like right underneath its head, and not charges, but just marches towards those arcs of lightning.
I love that. You march, and people, you see, what you see is, you walk in, and there are people floating, miners, workers, people who would be the people who would be transporting these cartons or these carts of coal from place to place are just kind of floating, carrying in the mist as they are pulled towards a gigantic, like, a hole around this that is a natural hole that has sort of burst out. You recognize those cracks in the ground, and you see the blue lightning. You see them kind of being pulled by the shadow hands, and they're just sort of floating towards it. There's a person, a vole is like right in front of you, right? Like a little tiny, a vole is sort of floating directly in front of you, and like you see several other people are kind of swirling as if a whirlpool is pulling them into this sort of natural crevasse.
What's the vole doing right in front of me? Like
perfectly still, about like 3 feet off of the ground, or three heights off of the ground, like up to like their feet are about at your neck, and they're just kind of floating, just perfectly still, unmoving, no expression. The same as all of the other people that are kind of in this whirlpool being pulled by these shadow hands.
I think I'm going to kind of extend a hand and sort of brush the vole's hand and see if I can make contact there.
I'm going to ask you for I think it works. I think you brush their hand and they kind of grab at your hand for a moment, but like they're like it feels like they can barely, like, that took like everything, right? Like it feels, and then suddenly you feel like that smoke kind of pull, like viciously pull you apart, right? Like a cloud of smoke pushes you apart. So it is clear that these people can be like pulled out of this, but you're going to have to fight to do that, or like fight, exert yourself to do that.
Yeah, I think with Withers, it was maybe a cloud of smoke was reaching for him, but he hadn't quite been grasped by one yet. I think I'm going to stow the hammer for a moment, and I'm going to try and get this vole out of here.
I'm going to give me a physical roll.
All right. Also, I don't remember if I have written down next to physical 5 + 2, so I feel
7.
like I
You have
leveled
7.
up. Yes.
Yeah, because you have 2 extra dice from being a badger.
All right, that's
Badger's
right.
big.
That's right. Badger's big, yo. So that's 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's roll a bunch of dice.
Roll a bunch of dice.
All right. Let's see what we got here. I got a 6. I got another 6. And then the rest is a wash.
Yeah, so you are able to... I'm going to give you a choice. You can pull this person down. You can exert yourself at a cost, which is to say you can pull this person. You can pull them. You can like awaken them from the haze that they're in. But in doing so, you can exert yourself, do that, and everyone else who is being pulled towards this whirlpool will also get pulled. But that will happen because all of this smoke will turn its attention to you. Or you can pull this person, but leave everyone else who is being pulled into this whirlpool.
Oh, I'm releasing everyone.
I figured, I kind of, candidly, sometimes you ask a question and you're like, you know what, I could see them going in a certain direction, like, but sometimes you just gotta, sometimes you have to have hope, and you have to be like, God, I really hope that they take the certain option. Yeah, so you do that, and the smoke itself starts to, like, float around you and, like, pulsate, and, starts to, like, float and pulsate, and, like, all of these people drop, and they just scramble. They start running for the tunnels. You have saved a bunch of people, but you have set on you a horrible thing. Like, all of this smoke, all of this energy is just kind of descending upon you. You kind of are forced backwards, right? Like, you kind of have to basically yank this person by the feet, kind of knocks you prone for a split second as you kind of roll backwards. Give me
kind of crab crawling backwards.
Yeah, give me an agility roll.
Cool, not a problem.
To get into a fighting position before this next fight breaks out.
All right. It's going to be just a straight agility roll. No skills. 2 5s.
Okay, yeah, you managed to roll backwards and land on your feet.
Nice.
Which means because you succeeded at that, you get the first action in combat.
Ooh. I mean, you have to do it to him. I'm gonna sunder once more.
You gotta sunder. You gotta do it to him.
Gotta do it to him. All right, so the last time we did that was a 3.
Yep, you're rolling 3 dice.
Die roll.
I am rolling 4 evasion dice against you.
Ooh. I got a 6, a 5, and a 4.
All right. So now I'm going to roll 4 evasion dice because each characters in Wildlands have a certain number of evasion dice. These represent your ability to evade. Basically, I'm going to roll these 4 dice, and I can potentially undo some of your successes.
All right.
And I'm going to undo both of your successes with two 5s.
No.
So you swing and like you burn, you watch the blue lightning like eviscerate some of this smoke, but it's intangible, right? Like it's an incorporeal presence, and the hands start to form out of the smoke and they start to like grab at you. And I'm going to roll 4 dice as it tries to like pull you in.
Ooh.
That is 1 success.
All right. Am I rolling evasion dice against this, or is this a thing that's happening?
You are rolling evasion dice.
Here we go. A 5, a 6, and a 2.
Damn. Yeah. So describe how these hands grab at you and you avoid it effortlessly.
So I think there's this really cool like series of slow motion shots where this hammer is like cleaving through this incorporeal smoke, and kind of it trails off of the hammer in these cool arcs, and then from those sort of twined bits of smoke, the hands kind of start to form and come towards me. And I think what happens is the way I arced my hammer, it's a very quick, fluid movement from an attack to a parry, where I kind of just do like a 360 and like bring this hammer down to cleave through the hands before they're truly coalesced.
And now, as like it kind of falls backwards, but then you hear, as this is happening, you hear like ground cracking, and you feel like the tunnels and the mine that you have found yourself in. You feel it shaking and rattling, and you see that crevasse starting to like open up and crack, and you see legs and limbs and like sectioned legs, like insectoid limbs, start to like lurch and clutch and grab and pull. Something is coming out of that crevasse, and you know, the wisp there, the swarm, the smoke seems to be in service of that seems to be where it was pulling things.
Fucking gross. I love it though. I love how evocative this is. Man, I think I love the idea that Sunflower is sort of has her feet planted in this dirt pathway of this mine, and there's sort of a cracking, shifting that kind of happens not too far away from where her feet are standing. We kind of see the pathway sort of split open and kind of get uneven, unlevel. And I think her eyes sort of shift to this insectoid form that is coming out of these cracks. And the smoke that was kind of coming for me, has that receded? Has it gone towards?
No, it is still swarming you. It is still swirling around you, trying to grab you.
Gotcha. Ooh. You know, I think despite it swarming around me, trying to grab me, I am going to start charging towards this insectoid creature.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and let you make an attack roll on it as it bursts forth. It is, see if I can find, it is a gigantic, centipede-like thing, and it is just entirely made up of that, like, bluish black crystal, pulsating lightning smoke. Those smoke blobs are, like, billowing off of it. It is clearly, like, the element of this thing, this presence, this thing that was unearthed. It is it at its most primal form.
I'm gonna swing.
Yeah, you gotta swing. I'm gonna give you an extra, I'm gonna give you an extra 1 because you are charging. Because you are charging with this thing. But I am gonna, the wisps are going, or the smoke swarm is going to attack you, next turn.
That makes sense. Let's see what happens here.
I am going to give this thing its evasion dice, 2.
2 6s.
That's 1 5, so you do one set of damage to it.
20 damage.
Okay. So you smash through some of this, like, crystalline armor. And, what happens, from a gameplay perspective, is this character, this monster, has a great deal of armor points. Which basically is exactly what it sounds like. It is damage reduction. It absorbs that attack. So you have chipped into this thing's armor. And what I will say, I'm going to say, going forward, you can choose to deal straight damage to it or put it at a disadvantage by spending additional successes. How's that sound?
That's awesome. Cool. Love it. Into it. All about it.
All right. So so the smoke starts to swirl, and it's not actually attacking you directly, but it's just kind of like trying to cloud your vision, trying to like entangle you, trying to make it easier for this thing, once it pulls itself fully out of the crevasse, to descend upon you. So
Gotcha.
You can roll your evasion dice. I'm going to roll 3 attack dice for this.
Give me a sec.
And that is 3 successes.
Oh boy. Well, I do have 4 evasion dice, so hopefully... I've said that now. Hey! Ho! 3 6s is what I'm looking at.
That's what you got. You manage to You just, like, in rushing, you completely just, like, tear through the smoke. Like, you brush through it.
Like, while it's trying to coalesce around me, I'm just like, nope, bite.
Yep. So this monster pulls itself out of the ground, and it is, like, staring you dead in the face.
Ooh.
And in the back of your mind, you just hear, you should have never dug so deep. You should have never tried to take from below the earth. You should have never taken what was mine.
I think Sunflower kind of quirks an eyebrow and is going to interrupt very rudely by smashing this bug where she smashed it before.
Good. Roll that dice. And it's one.
I'm not adding an
that
extra
is one
here.
evasion.
I'm not adding that extra die this time.
Okay.
Because I'm not charging. Beans. That's a 3, a 4, and a 2.
So yeah, you swing, but it it just, like, blocks it and, like, kind of sends you kind of spinning as if one of its legs just, like, slams your big giant maul. As it like billows out a it, like, unfurls a cloud of smoke from its breath, and it just, like, swirls around you. And this is not the same as the Shadow Hands. This is pure, like, smoke and lightning and horror.
Just the worst possible air
So
one could breathe.
I got one success if you would like to evade.
All right. Let me look up something really quick, because I am wearing armor.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't remember what that...
Armor just gives you armor points, which lets you absorb a certain amount of damage before you take it out of your hit points.
Gotcha. Okay. So one evades first.
Yeah, evades first, then it takes out of your armor, then it takes out of your...
HP.
Yeah, you have 27 armor points.
Cool. Yes. All right, I have that here. A 6.
That's exactly what you needed.
Perfect.
How do you avoid this cloud of lightning and smoke and horror?
I think I just drop. Like, as soon as my maul kind of sends me spinning, I lean into it and kind of hit the dirt, like landing on my shoulder. It's a little bit uncomfortable, but it's better than being electrified by a cloud of stinky gas.
Give me an agility roll.
All right.
I'm going to say if you get one success, if you get between 1 and 3 successes, you can actually have this lightning strike the smoke swarm instead.
Ooh. A 5.
Okay.
And a 6. Oh, the shadows. I'm sorry. 2 6s and a 5. 3 successes total.
Okay. That means I'm gonna roll 3 dice, and we'll see what happens to the smoke swarm. Nothing. Nothing happens to the smoke swarm. They're fine.
They love it. They're into it. They're all about it.
Which means the smoke swarm is going to once again try to swirl around you.
That makes sense.
And that time they're going to do much better, and they're going to get you with 3 successes.
Oh no!
But now, before you roll your evasion, know that the horror is also going to strike. Oh no! Actually, the horror just struck at you. So, how many evasion dice did you roll in your last roll?
4.
All right, then you have no evasion dice left here.
Oh.
Yes, you have a limited pool of evasion dice. So yes. So I'm going to ask you to make an intellect ability check. So make an intellect roll.
Okay. That's gonna be 5. So counting is hard. That's 5 dice. Where did that guy go? Ooh! All 5s and 6s,
Beautiful.
my friend.
Yeah, you tear past this, the smoke starts to, like, cloud your eyes, and you just muscle right through it. Give me that attack, give me your next action.
I flex with my eyelids. So I think I'm on the ground, and the smoke is trying to swarm me, and I kind of do the like, trying to get it out of my face. I think I'm gonna get to my feet again. I think I've had my hand on my maul this whole time, but as I'm getting up, since this monstrosity is kind of bearing down on me, I'm going to use my momentum of getting up to swing this maul up into whatever sort of neck or jaw or whatever sort of appendage is kind of looming over me.
Okay, so I'm going to say you have to get 2 attack successes on this.
Okay.
If you get 1, you'll just do damage. If you get 2, I will bypass its armor as you hit underneath its soft fleshy surface.
In its soft bits. All right, so I'm rolling the 3 die again. Ha! A 5 and a 4 and another 4.
All right, so you tear and like you cut through the flesh of it to find that it is nothing but smoke underneath. So like you tear through more of its armor, but like there's this moment where like you just feel no give, right? You expect to feel the give of you smash against something. You tear through that armor and it's hollow underneath. It's just smoke underneath.
This carapace kind of bursts open and there's just swings clean through. That's nasty and I love it.
So the horror strikes at you with one of these like insectoid arms, tries to grab you and gets 1 success. Meanwhile, there are 2 successes coming at you from the swirling mists trying to cloud your vision. So you can choose to spend you can choose how to spend your evasion dice accordingly.
I'm going to spend, and I have to spend it like if I'm going to spend 3 on the smoke that's coming towards me, I have to commit to those 3, and then if I want to add another one, I can't. Basically,
you could, but then you'd be acknowledging the damage from the other attack.
Gotcha. All right. Here's what I'm gonna do. Let's get a little nutty. I'm going to. You said that this horror was like grabbing outwards for me. Yeah. I think I'm going to leap into its arms.
Okay.
Just so I can get up close and personal.
Okay.
And kind of get. I assume it has some kind of facial structure.
Yeah. So what I'll say is take 8 damage. But then, if you attack next round, I will let you automatically ignore armor no matter what, because you're consciously putting yourself in harm's way.
Yeah.
That feels right.
You said I had 27 armor total?
Yes.
All right. Oh, that's right, because it's the studded leather. And then the damage I'm taking is absorbed by that 27 armor. I'm taking 8 off of that.
Yes.
Okay. So that's 19 now.
And now give me an intellect roll.
All right.
Oh no, wait, sorry, give me your evasion. As you attempt to evade the smoke, yeah.
The smoky boys. A 6 and a 5.
Perfect. Yeah, you perfectly evade it. This smoke is doing nothing to you.
I think I love the visual that the smoke is just like rallying and trying to come for me, and I'm just like, nope, jumping into the arms of this horrible insectoid.
And I think the smoke backs away at that and dispenses into the tunnels to try and grab people, because it's like, well, you just leapt into the mouth that we were going to feed you to, like.
Perfect, excellent. Cool. So then I took the damage. I did the evade. Is it my turn?
Yes, it is.
All right. So I'm going to try and just beat this guy up with my hammy hams. I got a 5.
Okay. Let me roll evasion. No evasion. It's going to take 20 damage.
Yeehaw.
You smash it, and like you're well past its defenses, so you're tearing into it, and you feel you tearing, like the smoke is dissipating, and you feel like that lightning surging through your weapon, and you kind of see into it. You see it underneath the armor. You see like spaciousness, like you see basically a dimensional gateway.
Whoa.
This thing appears to be some sort of living dimensional gateway.
That is awesome.
So I think what it's going to do is, I'm just going to say take another 8 damage, because you are entangled in this thing as it has you, and it's surging that lightning through you. Take another 8 damage. You can choose.
That makes sense to me.
You can choose to, as an action, make a physical roll to try and break out of that, or you can continue to take that damage and receive the benefit of being up close and personal with it.
I'm gonna stay up close and personal.
Okay. Give me that attack roll.
All right. 3 die. A 6 and a 5, so 40 damage.
You obliterate it. You smash its head, explodes, right?
Yeah.
And it falls down, and as it does, like, that portal just opens up wide, right? And you just see inside as smoke just fills the room, and you see inside, like, this infinite empty, cloud clogged space of, like, floating land masses amongst, and, like, it is just an entire other space, infinite and terrifying and cloudy and mysterious. And I'm gonna ask you for one last physical roll before we wrap.
Okay.
I'm gonna ask you for a physical roll and then ask you to make a hard choice. You see, like, floating just in front of you is your sweetheart. Tell me about your sweetheart. I never asked.
Oh, I think she's a baker. Mm-hmm. Did I say what she was earlier?
I don't think so. I don't think so. If you did, I didn't pay enough attention to it. So, like, she was a baker.
She's a baker now.
Can I name her?
Yeah.
Her name is Virginia Loaf.
I loaf her very much.
Good. Thank you.
I think she's a very skilled baker. I think part of the reason why I was interested in the sticky buns is because her specialty was sticky buns. And I maintain to this day that she would blow that whole contest out of the water.
That's fair. Give me a physical roll as you see her floating just, like, within reach. You could probably grab her and pull her out of the fog.
A physical roll, so that's 7. Ugh. Uh-oh. I rolled 7 die, and I didn't get a single success.
Great. That means I get to ask you a hard choice. You're just not large. Like, this is the first time you as a badger are not big enough to grab her.
Yeah.
She's just out of reach. But if you see her, that means everyone from Bramblewine has to be in this space somewhere, waiting, frozen. Do you, like... But if you were to venture in through this gateway, like, you feel it closing, you're not sure you'd be able to get out, the smoke has surrounded you. You can still move. You are not being held by any grasp, but she seems to be. Everyone that you saw in that glass of wine all that year ago was once upon a time. So, but there's an entire other dimension in here that you will have to wander into and fight your way through and fight your way out and find a way out. You could also find another, like, there might well be other opportunities to do this. You don't have to walk through that gateway. Do you walk through that gateway?
I like the idea that my inability to kind of reach out and grasp her. She's frozen too.
Yes.
I think that ability, my inability to kind of grasp her hand is kind of exhaustion. Like, I'm very tired. I've just exploded this horrible monster bug creature, and now this is happening.
Yep.
So I think there's a moment where Sunflower's shoulders kind of sag a little bit, and there's sort of this play of frustration and sadness and almost despair, and she kind of goes on that face journey, and then there's this sort of last expression of, like, resolve and resolution. She holds her hammer just underneath the head like she does. And I think she is going to tumble out of this portal and leave the frozen people of Bramblewine inside of it this time.
That's fair. I understand. I would have made the same decision, but I think you emerge, and like there's a celebration, and you see that like people are covered in smoke, right? Like you see that like this town was attacked like while you were under, and you stopped it. You saved all of these people, which means which means that people can be saved. You've learned something valuable from this. And I think as that happens, Old Man Withers walks up to you with a glass of wine, and he just kind of smiles at you and like half offers it to you, but then takes a swig of it himself. And it's like, this is really good. And like smiles at you like half knowingly, like, this is delicious wine. It's not my best.
Oh, geez. What was that? I think Sunflower, I see these people kind of like cheering around her, and she's just got a very exhausted expression. And I think she's just where she's standing is going to sit down and take her pack off. And I think she takes out Old Man Withers' best wine, pours herself a cup, and I have a question for you.
Yes.
My question for you is, trying to figure out how to phrase this.
Talk me through what you're thinking, and we can find a question for it.
Yeah. So basically, Sunflower was in this portal, in this space, and there was this uncertainty of like how she would get out if she kind of went in. I think maybe the question is, does someone in the village or like does a person who is a formerly like Bramblewine person, did someone that lived in Bramblewine know of a solution? Or could theorize about a solution?
I think so. Just to reiterate, the question is there someone in Bramblewine or elsewhere that would have a solution to how to get into the portal, or how to create a safe portal?
How to, I guess,
or how to pull people out?
How to pull people out? Yeah. Or I guess my question is more around like if she were to go in, and she wouldn't know how to get out. If she were to find a way to unfreeze the people that were in this portal anyway, would she be able to talk to someone and like, solve that as a team kind of thing?
Yeah, the answer to that is no. Like, you drink and you see yourself walk into that portal, you see yourself free these people, and then you see yourself wandering from cloud to cloud for decades, eternity. You could have saved those people, but there's no guarantee you would have been able to find your way out. You would have to, you need to, before you step into that portal, as painful as it was to walk away, you need to know how to get out before you walk in.
Gotcha.
Because that portal will close and you will be stuck there. You may not be frozen, but you will be trapped in this space. And I think Withers kind of just sips the wine and just goes, to our next destination. To when our paths meet again, and he offers you a toast.
I think Sunflower will raise her cup, and this exhaustion is still weighing her shoulders down and kind of her head. But she'll like tap it against Wither's glass. To our next destination.
And I think that's game.
Yeehaw!
That ruled!
That was super cool.
That was great. I loved every second of that. Was wonderful. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for playing with me. That was great. I had so much fun.
I love that I have basically created Thor the Badger.
Yep.
That's
great.
Pretty cool.
Extremely good.
It's extremely good. I'm going to stop recording in Audacity.
Oh, wait, no, keep recording.
Oh, keep recording. I'm done. I'm not done. What?
So real quick before we wrap up, thank you so much for playing with me. Where can people find you and your work online?
You can find me at Paulomi SP on Twitter, or you can find Courier's Call at Courier Call. That's why I was having a hard time with it earlier. You can find it at Courier Call. We like to tweet about birds, and we like to tweet about music, and it's just a really good show, and I'm really excited for the world to hear it.
Oh, that makes me so happy. Thank you so much for playing with me. This was very fun. And for now, I'm going to throw it over to me in the future so that he can wrap up with the show. Take it, future me. Thanks, past me. And thanks again to Paulomi for coming onto the show. That game was exactly as adorable as the game book made it out to be, and I'm extremely happy with how it all turned out. Be sure to check the show notes for more information about Wildlands and about Skyjack's Courier's Call, and be sure to follow Paulomi on Twitter at PaulomiSP. Then while you're on Twitter, follow us at Party of One Pod. Like the show on Facebook at facebook.com/Party of One Podcast. Join our Discord community at bit.ly/Party of One Discord. And head to our merch store at bit.ly/Party of One Merch. If you enjoyed the show, consider leaving us a nice review on iTunes, Stitcher, or Podchaser. Those are the 3 services that send a nice email to my inbox, and it makes my day, so those are the ones that I like the best. You can review it anywhere, but those are the ones that make me happiest. You can also, like I said at the top of the show, support the show on Patreon at patreon.com/JeffStormer. Buy me a coffee at kofi.com/JeffStormer. Or go to paypal.me/JeffJStormer because Jeff Stormer was taken. And the other way that you can support the show is by listening to the other podcast that I produce every week, All My Fantasy Children, which is a tabletop-inspired character creation, storytelling, and world-building podcast in which every week I sit down with my best friend, Aaron Catano-Saez. We spin up an original fantasy character based on a listener prompt, and we use it to populate a shared universe called fantasy. It is one of the best podcasts on the internet, and you can find it every Friday-ish at oneshotpodcast.com because it is a proud member of the One Shot Podcast Network. Now then, where was I? Yes. Party of One is produced and edited by Jeff Stormer and Jen Frank, as always. All music for the show comes from the song Infinite Lives by Mega Ran featuring the D&D Sluggers, and the Party of One logo is by Evan Rowland. If you'd like to inquire about advertising rates, coming onto the show as a guest, or about press coverage of the show, you can email me at partyofonepodcast@gmail.com. And that is it for me. So until next time, thank you so much for listening. Remember to fight the forces of fascism every single day. Remember that self-love and self-care are radical and defiant acts of resistance, and as always, party on, everybody.